think the 4 Zealots would be able to deal enough damage quickly enough, but I still feel that's just going to be a minor hiccup for July, who's continuing to build this massive force. And July did have the oh my god, my brain is just freezing up. July did have the Nidus Canal in that base. Now July sending massive forces in, Best sending a group of Zerglings in to try and take that Nexus down at the 7 o'clock Natural Expo, and looks like July is actually going to be able to force a cancel on Brilliance by July. Storm going off from Best, but not quickly enough, and July forces a cancel on the Nexus. So both players trading Nexus / hatcheries in that battle. Looks like Best is going to be able to get those photon cannons up, though July hasn't really committed himself to an attack. July looks like he's going to go for another drop. So July focusing on, and we've seen this recently from Zerg players. Oftentimes Zerg players try and take out Protoss expansions, but especially in a map like Andromeda, where it's difficult for a Protoss, because a Protoss player relies primarily on having one ball of units and presenting united fronts. They don't like to fight lots of splintered different battles, so the more you can engage the Protoss player on different fronts, the better off you're going to be. But this time Best has actually got a massive force waiting. He's got a massive force of Zealots. He's expecting this from July. He's seen it happen before. He's got about 4, and I think this is going to be horrible for July. He's going to lose his entire army that's in those Overlords to Storms. Surely if he sees this, he's going to have to pull back, and Storms going off on those Overlords. And July's units, as they drop, masses of Storms everywhere, and the Overlords getting taken out. July not being able to kill even a single unit of Best. Brilliant play by Best. He anticipated July trying that again after the first attack had been so successful, and he's countered it perfectly. Really good play by Best. And July losing 6 Overlord worth of units in there. That's going to hurt him big time. Best now coming out with his main force in the middle of the map, trying to get a storm off on July's units. I still feel that July's got such overwhelming weight of numbers, and brilliant plague by July catches all of Best's army is plagued. You can just see the pain of red on Best's army. July needs to pull those Ultras back, because they are going to get killed by the Zealots. He is bringing Zerglings in support, but I feel July's missing a trick here. He doesn't have enough army there. He should pull those Ultras back and wait for their health to regenerate while fighting against Best. And July being a little bit careless here, but now he's sending in Zerglings to try and finish off Best's forces in the middle of the map. Best's got reinforcements arriving as well, so I'm not sure if July's going to be able to do this as effectively as he would have liked to. He's killed some forces, and July's now sending another group of forces into that expo at the 7 o'clock base. Best has got more than enough reinforcements, I feel, to defend and deal with July's attack here, and July's going to conserve 2 of his Ultras this time around. I feel July has really made a huge mistake there. First he lost lots of units in that drop, which Best anticipated, and now he's and you've got to give a lot of credit to Best for that. And now July is sending in units piecemeal and allowing Best to build up that ball, which is going to defeat him if July allows this to continue. Best has actually come back very well in this game. I thought July had a decisive advantage and was going to take this game down with a superior tech and unit count. July looks like 1-2 upgrades on his Ultras. July looks like he's going for another drop. This time he's going for a drop at the Natural Expo of the 7 o'clock position. I think this obviously looks like it's going to be a lot more effective if Best doesn't catch it before it arrives, because Best doesn't have the forces set up in anticipation. July would be clever, and July's being really clever. He's going to try and lure Best to his main first by sending a ground force there, while simultaneously dropping with the Overlords behind. And as I said, that's what you need to do. You can't let the Protoss defend at one point or fight one battle at a time. The more you force the Protoss to divide his forces, the more effective you're going to be. And the advantage that Zerg have is that they do have the ability to do that. And July looks like he is making a push with his forces at that expo. And July meanwhile dropping also on top of, so July pushing at the 9 o'clock expo and dropping. There are storms going off at the 9 o'clock expo as well, but Best is now going to be forced to defend in both places. He's sending his forces down to the 7 o'clock Natural Expo. July is going to take that Nexus down with his Zerglings. He's also going to try and take some of the probes down. Best coming in with the Corsairs, but he's also going to lose a Nexus, so July is immediately taken out all of Best's economy in that 2-pronged attack, and Best didn't know where to defend. He tried to defend both places, one was unsuccessful, and July with another massive drop coming in, and it looks like this drop is going to be aimed at Best's mineral only in his main. So July with a series of airstrikes with paratrooper drops behind enemy lines, completely disrupting his opponent's style, completely disrupting his opponent's strategy, and overwhelming him with a 3-pronged attack. Brilliance by July. Best's force is now struggling, but Best's economy is in tatters. He's lost his min only, he's lost his 9 o'clock expo, and he's lost the 5 o'clock Natural Expo, so his economy is ground to a standstill. And unfortunately for Best, he just didn't do enough damage to July. And I think the key is that Best hasn't killed, I think, any of July's drones in this matchup. I don't think he's killed more than like 3 or 4 drones, and now July is just overrunning Best, and July is now going to be able to just switch over to attack move mode to polish Best off here. Absolutely stunning play by July, by the wrestler, and Best looks like, and Best now with a drop of about 4 DTs in July's main, trying to take July's tech out, but I'm afraid that this is a little bit too late for him. Even if he kills off all of July's tech, he's also killing off all of July's overlords. Clever play by Best, but he's got no economy to speak of, and July's just going to barrel down the front door here, and unfortunately for Best, he's eventually going to get taken out, and now July has got the Hydralisk in there to take those Corsairs out. Meanwhile, his forces continue to blast down the front door. Best now with a bunch of Archons pushing forward with all those High Templar that he managed to conserve to try and make a final sort of attack. July's losing those Hydralisks there. He's waiting for an Overlord to pop. Those Hydralisks are going to get, and now the Overlord pops, and July's going to be able to take those DTs down finally. Best has got enough in terms of those DTs to actually take those Hydralisks down. I think July also managed to cast a Plague on those DTs as well, so that's going to help, even if Best manages to take those Overlords down with some Corsair reinforcements. But Best has used up all his Corsairs. Meanwhile, Best's main is getting taken out, and his Expos are getting taken down as well. And really, he just, unfortunately for Best, even though he's killed all of July's tech, it really doesn't matter because he just doesn't have the forces to actually do anything about it. And I'm sure July's got another spawning pool somewhere, and now Best loses the last of his army. The last of his standing army is down, and he's got no resources to really rebuild. And Best, you've got to give credit to him, to those uber elite commando DTs that have gone in and completely wiped out July's main entirely. They've taken down every single building in July's main. Brilliance by Best, and it has to be said, it's a commendable last hurrah, but that's all it is. It is a last hurrah because he's just not dealt enough damage early enough against July. Maybe he should have tried something like that earlier on and committed himself instead of using it as a desperation maneuver once July had already dealt in the hammer blow. Unfortunately for Best, July struck first, and he who strikes first strikes hardest, I'm afraid, in StarCraft. Now Best is trying to take down some more of July's buildings with those DTs. July at this point doesn't really care because he's just overrunning Best all over the map, and July just has so many resources saved up, and his economy is just so powerful that Best has got nothing. Best's entire main has been wiped out. All Best has left is the 7 o'clock Expo at the bottom left-hand corner of the map, but he's pretty much overrun at this point in time, and he's just not able to produce any units, and those 4 DTs will kill a couple more buildings. July with a bunch of Zerglings popping out, but he doesn't have an Overlord there. I'm surprised he didn't pop an Overlord out along with those Zerglings to take those DTs out. Looks like now he's actually going to be able to force on those DTs. I don't see an Overlord there, but I wonder if those DTs are still playing. Okay, there's the Overlord that's coming into view now, and July finishes off the game, and Best, once he loses those DTs, is forced to GG. So great play by July. Best fought valiantly, but I feel he surrendered the advantage to July. Despite doing a good job with the scouting and getting his fastest man running, he just allowed July to control the game too much early on, and July effecting another victory and taking the first opening game of Protoss vs. Zerg Race Wars, guys. This is Klazart, guys. Thanks for listening. What a great game of StarCraft. What a great game of StarCraft for me to commentate, to come back on, even though my voice is dead. But again, I want to thank you guys for supporting my book. This is Klazart, guys. Thanks for listening.